Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Harvey. Let me tell you something I've learned the hard way, through life, through mistakes, through victories, and through setbacks. Everybody doesn't need to know everything about you. In fact, one of the biggest reasons people lose peace, momentum, and confidence is because they talk too much to the wrong people. Privacy is power. Silence is strength. And wisdom is knowing what to keep to yourself. First thing you should never share with just anybody is your next move. Everybody loves to hear about your plans, but not everybody wants to see you win. Some people smile in your face and secretly hope you never make it past where you are. When you announce your plans too early, you invite opinions, doubts, negativity, and even sabotage. Let results make the noise. When you finally show up with success, no explanation will be needed. Second, never share your weaknesses with people who haven't earned your trust. Being vulnerable is powerful, but only in the right environment. The wrong people will store your pain, your fears, and your insecurities as ammunition. They won't help you heal, they'll use it to feel superior. Protect your soft spots. Share your struggles only with those who have proven they want to help you rise, not watch you fall. Third thing you should keep private is your income and financial situation. Money changes how people treat you. If they think you have less, they may look down on you. If they think you have more, they may expect favors, loans, or feel entitled to what you've worked for. Your finances are your business. Peace comes when you stop explaining your lifestyle and start living it on your own terms. Fourth, stop telling everybody about your relationship problems. Every couple has issues. Every marriage has disagreements. But when you constantly expose your partner's flaws to outsiders, you poison the relationship. People will judge, take sides, and remind you of mistakes long after you've forgiven them. Handle your relationship in private. Protect what you love. Not everybody needs a front row seat to your personal life. Fifth thing you should never share is your past mistakes with people who only see you for who you used to be. Growth scares some people. When you tell them your old story, they'll keep reading from the same page, even though you've turned the chapter. Some folks don't want to see you evolve because your growth reminds them of their comfort zone. Let your transformation speak louder than your past confession. Let me talk to you about something that can change the entire direction of your life if you learn to master it early. Never tell everybody your next move. I know it feels good to talk about your plans. I know it feels exciting to tell people what you're about to do, where you're headed, and how big you're about to become. But here's the truth most people learn too late. Your plans are fragile before they're finished. They need protection, not promotion. See, when you tell people your next move, you open the door to opinions you never asked for. Somebody will tell you it won't work. Somebody will remind you of the last time you failed. Somebody will say, "You sure you can do that?" And now, without realizing it, doubt has entered your mind. You were confident when it was just you and God. You were focused when the vision was clear. And now you're explaining, defending, and second, guessing something that was never meant to be debated. Everybody claps when you talk about success, but not everybody is clapping for you. Some people clap because they're happy. Some people clap because they're counting how far they think you'll fall. There are people who don't want to see you do better than them, especially if they've known you for a long time. They're comfortable with the version of you that stayed the same. When you announce your next move, you remind them that you're willing to change, and that makes them uncomfortable. Let me tell you something real. When you talk too much about what you're going to do, you start feeling accomplished before you've done anything. Your brain gets a reward just from talking. You feel productive without producing, and that's dangerous. Because now the hunger is gone, the urgency is gone, and the discipline starts slipping. Silence keeps you hungry. Silence keeps you looking. Silence keeps you locked in. Some of the most successful people you admire didn't announce their plans. They disappeared. They worked quietly. They studied when nobody was watching. They failed privately. They fixed mistakes without an audience. Then one day they showed up different. And people said, "Where did that come from?" It came from silence. It came from focus. It came from protecting the vision until it was strong enough to stand on its own. When you tell the wrong people your next move, you also give them the chance to interfere. Not always on purpose. Sometimes through negativity. Sometimes through distraction. Sometimes through advice that sounds good, but doesn't fit your calling. Everybody gives advice based on their own limits. If they couldn't do it, they'll tell you it can't be done. If they were scared, they'll call it unrealistic. You can't let small thinking shape a big future. There's also another level to this. Some people don't just doubt you, they compete with you. The moment you reveal your plan, you give away information. Now somebody else is trying to do it faster, louder, or in a way that throws you off your path. Not because they're better, but because you spoke too soon. Privacy keeps your strategy intact. I've learned that the best response to questions about your future is sometimes a smile. You don't owe everyone an explanation. You don't owe everyone access. Just because someone asks, "What you working on?" doesn't mean they deserve the full story. You can say, "I'm figuring some things out," and keep it moving. That's not secrecy, that's wisdom. Your next move should be revealed by results, not conversations. Let people hear about it after it's done. Let them see the evidence instead of hearing the idea. Because when it's finished, nobody can talk you out of it. Nobody can discourage you from it. Nobody can steal your excitement or drain your energy. When you move in silence, you build confidence from progress, not approval. You stop looking for validation and start trusting the process. You learn to listen more than you speak. You become strategic. You become patient. And patience is a weapon most people don't know how to use. So keep your next move between you and the work. Wake up quietly. Improve quietly. And when it's time to step out fully formed. Not half-bitten. Not explained. Just ready. Let me talk to you about something people misunderstand all the time, and that is sharing your weaknesses with everybody. In today's world, folks love to say, be open, be vulnerable, tell a story. And that sounds good, but the truth is this vulnerability without wisdom will cost you. Not everybody deserves to know where you're hurting. And not everybody needs access to your fears, your insecurities, and your struggles. See, your weaknesses are like an open wound. You don't show an open wound to people who don't know how to heal it. You protect it. You cover it. You let it recover in the right environment. But when you tell your pain to the wrong people, they don't help you heal. They study it. They remember it. And one day, when you least expect it, they use it against you. Some people listen to your struggles not to understand you, but to compare themselves to you. They feel better knowing you're hurting. Others store your weaknesses as gossip, spreading your business in places you've never been. And some people, the worst kind, will throw your past pain back in your face during arguments just to feel powerful. That's why you gotta be careful who you open up to. Now don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you should never talk about your struggles. I'm saying you should be selective. There's a difference between being open and being exposed. Being open is sharing with someone who wants to see you win. Being exposed is handing your soft spots to people who haven't earned your trust. Trust is built over time, not assumed because somebody sounds nice. Let me tell you something real. When you constantly talk about what you're bad at, what you're afraid of, and what you can't do, you start reinforcing that story in your own mind. Your words shape your self-image. The more you repeat your weaknesses, the more permanent they start to feel. Silence gives you room to work on yourself without labeling yourself. Some people will tell you, I'm just being honest about who I am. That's fine, but don't confuse honesty with self-sabotage. You can acknowledge your flaws privately while still presenting strength publicly. You don't need to advertise everything you're working through. Growth is a process, not a press release. There's also something else you need to understand. The world doesn't reward weakness, it rewards growth. People respect progress, not excuses. When you lead with your limitations, people begin to see you through that lens. They stop expecting more from you. And once expectations drop, opportunities disappear. Protect your potential by not letting people define you by a moment of struggle. I've seen people lose jobs, relationships, and respect because they shared too much with the wrong audience. They thought they were building connection, but instead they were building doubt. The wrong person will smile and say, "I understand," and then quietly decide you're not ready, not strong, not capable. And you'll never even know why the door closed. Your weaknesses should be discussed in safe spaces, with mentors, with counselors, with people who are already overcome what you're going through. People who give you tools, not judgment. People who pray with you, not talk about you. That circle should be small. Here's another thing. When you stop broadcasting your struggles, you give yourself permission to outgrow them. You stop being tied to an old version of yourself that people keep reminding you of. You create space to evolve quietly. And one day when you show up stronger, people will be surprised, not because you changed, but because they weren't invited into the process. Let me tell you this, strength doesn't mean you never struggle. Strength means you choose wisely who gets to see you struggle. You don't owe everyone your pain story. You don't owe everyone an explanation for your healing journey. Some chapters are meant to be written in private. So guard your weaknesses like you guard your dreams. Share them only with people who have proven they can handle them with care. Because when you protect your vulnerabilities, you protect your future. Let me talk to you about something that causes more unnecessary stress, jealousy, and confusion than almost anything else. Telling people your financial situation, how much money you make, how much you have saved, how much debt you're in, or how much you plan to earn next year is nobody's business. The moment you make your money public, your peace becomes public too, and that's when problems start. See, money changes how people look at you. If they think you don't have enough, some will pity you, judge you, or talk down to you. If they think you have a lot, suddenly everybody has a need, a story, an emergency, or a favor. Either way, once people know your finances, they start forming opinions about your value, your intelligence, and your lifestyle, and none of that helps you. Some people will say, "I'm just being transparent." No, you're being exposed. Transparency with money is only necessary with people directly involved, your spouse, your business partner, your accountant. Everybody else does not need those details. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to explain why you can or can't afford something. "It's not in my budget" is a complete sentence. Let me tell you what really happens when people know your financial position. If you're doing well, they expect you to carry them. They expect you to pay more, give more, loan more. And when you say no, you become the bad guy. Now you're changed, selfish, or forgot where you came from. But the truth is, you didn't change. You just stopped letting people count your pockets. And if you're struggling financially, oversharing can be just as damaging. People start giving advice you didn't ask for. They start judging your decisions without knowing the full story. Some will even lose respect for you, not because you're incapable, but because they've never been where you are. Struggle seasons are temporary, but public judgment can last a long time. Here's another truth. When you talk too much about money, you attract comparison. People begin measuring their lives against yours, and comparison breeds jealousy. Jealousy ruins relationships. Folks start acting funny, energy changes, conversations feel different. All because information was shared that didn't need to be shared. Peace is expensive, and privacy is part of the price. I've learned that rich people talk about money the way broke people do. They talk about systems. They talk about discipline. They talk about mindset. They let the lifestyle speak quietly. Loud money is often insecure money. Real wealth moves silently because it understands that attention brings problems. Also understand this, when people know how much you make, they start telling you how you should live. Why you drive that car. Why you wear those clothes. Why you didn't upgrade this or downgrade that. You lose the freedom to make personal choices without commentary. And freedom is one of the main reasons people chase success in the first place. Money is emotional. It's tied to pride, fear, survival, and identity. That's why it should be handled carefully. Not everybody can separate your finances from their feelings. Some people will resent you, some will depend on you. Some will try to compete with you. None of that adds value to your life. Let me say this clearly. You don't owe anyone financial access to you just because they're family, friends, or familiar. Being close to you does not entitle someone to your bank balance. You can love people and still say no. You can care and still protect yourself. Boundaries around money are not cold, they're necessary. When you stop talking about money, you start making better decisions. You stop performing. You stop trying to look successful. You start focusing on stability, growth, and long-term vision. You stop explaining your why and start honoring it. Your financial journey is personal. It's unique. It's shaped by your background, your responsibilities, and your goals. Let it unfold quietly. Let your discipline show over time. Let your consistency speak. And remember this, peace is worth more than proving anything to anybody. Let me talk to you about something that destroys more relationships than cheating, money, or distance combined. And that is telling everybody your relationship problems. See, every relationship has issues. Every marriage has disagreements. Every couple's moments they're not proud of. That's normal. What's not normal is inviting outsiders into problems that were meant to be handled between two people. When you tell friends, co-workers, family, or social media about your relationship struggles, you are not looking for solutions, you are looking for relief. You want to feel heard. You want someone to agree with you. But temporary relief can cause permanent damage, because once you tell your side of the story, people form opinions, and those opinions don't disappear when you forgive your partner. Here's the problem you'll make up, but they won't. You'll move forward, but they'll stay stuck on what you told them. Every time your partner walks into the room, those people will remember the mistake, the argument, the weakness you shared. Now your relationship is fighting battles it never signed up for. You didn't just bring outsiders in, you gave them a vote. Another thing people don't realize is this. When you talk about your relationship problems, you're usually only telling your version. Not because you're lying, but because emotions shape memory. You leave out what you said. You leave out what you did. You leave out the tone, the timing, the pressure. And now people are judging a whole situation based on half the truth. That's not fair to your partner. And it's not healthy for the relationship. Some people you talk to don't want to help you fix it. They want to feel superior. They want to say, "Oh, I told you so." Others want to keep you dependent on their advice. And then there are those who secretly want your relationship to fail because misery loves company. Not everybody giving advice has good intentions. Let me tell you something else that's real. When you constantly speak negatively about your partner, you start training your mind to focus on what's wrong instead of what's right. Words are powerful. The more you complain, the heavier the relationship feels. You stop remembering why you chose them in the first place. You forget the love, the effort, the growth, because your mouth keeps replaying the problem. Privacy protects intimacy. When a relationship is exposed too much, it becomes fragile. There's a reason some couples last for decades. They keep their business in the house. They fight privately. They heal privately. They grow privately. And when they step outside, they present unity, not perfection unity. Now, I'm not saying stay silent in a toxic or dangerous situation. That's different. If there is abuse, manipulation, or real harm, you must speak up to the right people and get help. But everyday disagreements, misunderstandings, and emotional moments do not belong in group chats or family meetings. Those moments need patience, communication, and maturity, not an audience. Another mistake people make is run a family every time something goes wrong. Family loves you, but family is biased. They will always be on your side, even when you're wrong. And once they don't like your partner, that dislike doesn't fade easily. You might forgive, but family remembers. Now, holidays are awkward. Conversations are tense. And respect is gone, all because too much was shared. Your relationship is not a community project. Everybody doesn't get a say. Everybody doesn't get a role. 2 people can't build peace if 10 people are involved in the decision-making. When outsiders enter, confusion enters. When confusion enters, trust starts leaving. Strong relationships are not built by public validation. They're built by private conversations. Hard talks behind closed doors. Apologies that don't need witnesses. Growth that doesn't need applause. That's where real connection is formed. When you protect your relationship, you protect your future. You give it room to breathe, to heal, to evolve. You stop poisoning it with outside opinions and start strengthening it with understanding and respect. So be careful who you talk to about the person you love. Not everybody deserves to hear that story. Some things are sacred. Some things need protection. And a relationship that's handled with privacy has a much better chance of surviving the storms that every couple must face. Let me talk to you about your past mistakes and why everybody does not need to know them. See, everybody has a past. Everybody has done something they're not proud of. Everybody has made decisions that if given the chance, they would do differently. That's part of being human. But the problem comes when you keep reopening old chapters with people who are committed to seeing you as the person you used to be. Some people don't want to meet the new you. They're comfortable with the old version because it makes them feel better about staying the same. When you tell them about your past mistakes, they don't hear growth, they hear confirmation. Confirmation that you're still that person in their mind. No matter how much you've changed, they keep bringing you back to where you started. You have to understand this. Not everybody celebrates transformation. Your growth exposes their stagnation. Your discipline highlights their excuses. So when you openly share your past with the wrong people, you give them a story they'll never let go of. They'll remind you of it in jokes. They'll mention it accident. They use it to question your credibility, even when you've proven yourself. Another thing people don't realize is that your past mistakes can become a label if you keep repeating them. You might say, I'm just being honest about my journey, but if you're constantly telling the same old story, you're mentally living there. Your words anchor you a version of yourself you're supposed to have outgrown. Growth requires leaving some explanations behind. There are people who don't care how far you've come. They only care where you fell. They will always measure you by your lowest moment because it gives them power. And once someone has power over your narrative, they can control how others see you. That's dangerous. Your story is yours. Don't hand it over carelessly. Now, don't misunderstand me. There's a time and place to share your past. If your story can genuinely help someone who's struggling, if it can inspire, teach, or guide in the right environment, that's different. But oversharing your mistakes in casual conversations, social settings, or with people who haven't earned to trust only reopens wounds that were healing just fine. Some people collect information the way Others collect trophies. They don't want to understand you. They want something to talk about. And once your past becomes entertainment, you lose control of it. You can't explain context to everyone. You can't correct every rumor. That's why prevention is better than damage control. Let me tell you something else that's real. People will forgive you faster than they will forget. And some won't forgive you at all. They'll say they did, but deep down they'll always hold it against you. That's why you have to let your actions speak louder than your confessions. Consistency over time is a stronger apology than any story. Your past prepared you, but it does not define you. You don't owe everyone proof of how you learned the lesson. You don't owe everyone the details of your mistakes. The only people who need to know your full story are the ones walking with you into your future. When you stop explaining your past, you start building your future. You stop defending who you were and start investing in who you're becoming. You give people a chance to meet you where you are, not where you've been. Some chapters are meant to stay closed, not because you're ashamed, but because they've done their job. They taught you. They shaped you. They strengthened you. And now it's time to move forward without dragging old baggage into new seasons. Let me talk to you about something most people overlook, and that is your personal goals, dreams, and inner visions. Everybody loves to talk about where they want to go in life. Everybody wants to share their dreams, their big ideas, and the future they see for themselves. But here's the truth, not everybody needs to know what you're praying for, planning for, or working toward deep inside. Your goals start as thoughts. Thoughts are fragile. They need belief, repetition, and action to grow. When you share them too early with the wrong people, those thoughts get attacked. Somebody laughs. Somebody doubts. Somebody tells you it's unrealistic. And even if they don't say it out loud, their energy speaks loud enough to make you question yourself. Now your dream has to fight battles it wasn't ready for. Some people don't see what you see because they don't have your vision. They judge your dreams based on their own limits, their own fears, and their own past failures. They're not trying to hurt you, but their reality becomes your resistance if you listen too closely. That's why big dreams need quiet beginnings. Let me tell you something real. When you talk too much about your goals, you create pressure instead of progress. Now people are watching. How's that going? Now you feel rushed. And instead of moving at the pace of growth, you start moving at the pace of expectation. That pressure can make you quit early just to escape the feeling of being judged. There's also another danger. When you announce your dreams publicly, you start seeking approval instead of alignment. You begin shaping your goals to sound good to others rather than to feel right to you. That's when you drift away from your purpose. Dreams that require validation usually lose direction. Some people will encourage you at first, but encouragement fades when results take time. And most real dreams take time. When the excitement dies down, you're left alone with the work. That's when doubt creeps in, because now you remember all the voices that questioned you. Silence would have protected you during that phase. I've learned that the strongest dreams are built in private. Early mornings, late nights, quiet sacrifices, no announcements, no applause, just discipline, just commitment, just faith. By the time people notice, the foundation is already solid. Another thing, when you keep your goals private, you stay flexible, you can adjust, you can pivot, you can change direction without explaining yourself. But when you've told everybody what you're going to do, you feel locked in. Pride keeps you stuck in plans that no longer fit you. Privacy gives you freedom. Not everyone who asks about your goals is rooting for you. Some are curious. Some are comparing. Some are hoping you fail so they can feel better about staying the same. You don't need that energy attached to your vision. Dreams grow better in environments that are calm and protected. This doesn't mean you never share your goals. It means you choose wisely. Share with mentors who've already walked the path. Share with people who give guidance, not opinions. Share with those who challenge you to work harder, not those who just clap and disappear. When you stop talking about your goals and start working on them, something powerful happens. Your confidence comes from action. Your belief gets stronger because it's backed by effort, and you become less affected by outside noise. So keep some things sacred. Let your dreams develop quietly. Let your goals mature before they meet the world. And when the time comes, let your results introduce your vision for you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you from the heart today, because this message is not about impressing anyone else. It's about saving yourself. As staying consistent for yourself is one of the hardest things you will ever do in life, because nobody is clapping in the beginning. Nobody is watching you wake up early. Nobody is cheering when you say no to comfort. And nobody is giving you credit for the discipline you're trying to build. And that's exactly why most people quit. They're waiting for motivation from the outside when consistency is an inside job. See, consistency is not about feeling good every day. It's about showing up even when you don't feel like it. Some days you're going to be tired. Some days you're going to feel confused. Some days you're going to doubt yourself and wonder if it's even worth it. But consistency is you saying, I'm still going to do it anyway. Because every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build self-respect. And when you break a promise to yourself, you slowly lose confidence. You don't lose confidence overnight. You lose it one excuse at a time. You have to understand this. You don't owe the world consistency. You owe it to yourself. The world will move on whether you win or lose, whether you succeed or fail. But you have to live with you. You have to wake up with you every single day. And when you look in the mirror, you should be able to say, I didn't quit on myself. That's what consistency really is. It's loyalty to the vision God put in your heart, even when the results are slow. A lot of people say they're waiting for the right time. Let me tell you something. There is no right time. The right time is when you decide. You don't get consistent after you feel ready. You feel ready after you get consistent. Discipline comes before motivation, not the other way around. If you only work when you feel inspired, you'll stay stuck. But if you work because you decided this is who you are now, your feelings will eventually catch up. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real tonight, something that changed my life long before the money, before the suits, before the lights. Consistency is not about motivation. It's about decision. Motivation comes and goes. Some days you wake up fired up. Some days you wake up tired, confused, doubting yourself. If consistency depended on how you feel, none of us would ever win. Consistency is what you do when you don't feel like doing nothing at all. It's about showing up for yourself even when nobody is clapping, even when nobody sees you, even when it looks like your effort is not producing results yet. That's the part most people don't understand. They want instant success, instant reward, instant validation. But consistency is quiet. Consistency works in silence. Consistency is lonely sometimes because you're walking a road most people quit on early. You see, staying consistent for yourself means you finally stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop telling yourself, I'll start tomorrow. I'll do it next week. I'll wait until I'm ready. Let me tell you something about being ready. If you wait until you feel ready, you will wait your whole life. Nobody ever feels completely ready to chase a dream that scares them. Consistency means you do it scared. You do it tired. You do it unsure. You do it while still figuring it out. I had to learn that the hard way. I didn't wake up one day knowing how to be successful. I woke up knowing I had to keep going, even when the results weren't matching the effort. That's what separates dreamers from doers. Staying consistent for yourself also means you stop looking for external approval. Too many people quit because nobody is cheering for them in the beginning. Nobody is liking your posts. Nobody is supporting your vision. Nobody is calling you talented yet. But consistency is not built on applause. It's built on commitment. You have to clap for yourself when nobody else will. You have to believe in the work when there is no evidence yet. Faith works like that. You believe first, you work second, and the results come last. Most people want results first. That's why they quit. Consistency requires faith in the unseen, faith in the process, faith in who you are becoming even before you become it. Let me say this clearly. Consistency is an act of self-respect. When you keep promises to yourself, your confidence grows. When you break promises to yourself, your confidence shrinks. Every time you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, you teach yourself not to trust yourself. And every time you follow through, even on something small, you build a stronger relationship with you. That's powerful. That's how discipline is born. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want right now. Consistency is choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort. There will be days you fall off. Let me free from this lie of perfection. Consistency does not mean you never mess up. Consistency means you don't quit when you mess up. You get back up. You forgive yourself. You adjust and you keep moving. Missing one day doesn't ruin your future, but quitting does. One bad week doesn't cancel your purpose, but giving up does. The problem is not falling. The problem is staying down and calling it failure. Failure is not falling short. Failure is stopping altogether. Staying consistent for yourself also means protecting your focus. Everybody doesn't need access to your dream. Everybody doesn't deserve an opinion on what God placed in your heart. Some people will talk you out of your consistency because they're uncomfortable with your discipline. They'll call you obsessed. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you'd really mean it. They really mean as you're doing what they don't have the courage to do. Consistency requires boundaries. Sometimes you have to say no to good things to stay committed to the great thing. And finally, understand this: consistency compounds. Small actions done daily will always beat big actions done occasionally. You don't have to do everything at once. You just have to do something every day. Progress loves patience. Success rewards persistence. If you stay consistent long enough, life has no choice but to change. Not because it's easy, but because it's law. You become what you repeatedly do. Stay consistent for yourself because you are worth the effort, the time, and the discipline it takes to become who you were meant to be. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real about consistency, because everybody wants it, everybody talks about it, but very few people actually live it. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to stay consistent for themselves is because they are waiting to feel like it. They wake up looking for motivation, energy, excitement, or the perfect mood. But consistency was never built on feelings. Feelings change every single day. You don't feel like going to work sometimes, but you go. You don't feel like paying bills, but you pay them. Why? Because responsibility doesn't care about your mood. If you really want to stay consistent for yourself, you have to stop letting your feelings run your life and start letting discipline lead the way. See, discipline is doing what you said you were going to do long after the excitement is gone. When you first start something new, you're fired up. You're watching videos. You're writing goals. You're telling people, this time I'm serious. But a few weeks later, the claps stop, the motivation fades, and now it's just you and the work. That's where consistency is born. Not in inspiration, but in repetition. The people who win aren't more talented than you. They're just more disciplined than you. They decided, no matter how I feel today, I'm going to show up. You have to understand this. Your future doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to what you do repeatedly. You can say you want success, peace, growth, or change, But if your daily actions don't match that desire, nothing is going to move. Consistency is proof that you actually believe in yourself. When you keep showing up on the days nobody is watching, that's you telling the universe, I'm serious. But when you quit every time it gets hard, you're sending another message, and that message is doubt. A lot of people quit on themselves because they set unrealistic expectations. They think consistency means perfection. It doesn't. Consistency means progress, even when it's small, even when it's ugly, even when it feels slow. If all you can give today is 30%, give that 30% and be proud you didn't give 0. Staying consistent doesn't mean you never get tired. It means you don't stop just because you're tired. There's a big difference. Let me tell you something else that matters. You have to stop negotiating with yourself. Every time you say, I'll start tomorrow, or I'll do it later, you're teaching yourself that your word doesn't mean anything. And if you can't trust yourself, who do you think will? Consistency starts when you keep small promises to yourself. Wake up when you said you would. Do the work you said you'd do, even if it's just a little. Those small wins build self, and self-respect fuels consistency. You also have to accept that consistency is lonely sometimes. People won't always understand why you're so focused. They may even laugh at you in the beginning. But remember this, people will doubt you until they can't ignore you. Don't look for validation while you're building. Validation usually comes after the results, not before. If you need applause to stay consistent, you'll quit as soon as the noise fades. Learn to clap for yourself in private. Another hard truth is this: consistency requires sacrifice. You can't keep the same habits, the same distractions, the same excuses and expect a different life. Something has to go. Sometimes it's comfort. Sometimes it's late nights. Sometimes it's people who don't support your growth. Staying consistent for yourself means choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure. And that choice has to be made daily, not once. And finally, understand this deeply: nobody is coming to save you. No one is going to wake you up, push you every day, or force you to become who you're meant to be. That responsibility belongs to you. When you stay consistent for yourself, you're not just building success, you're building character. You're becoming someone you can rely on. And once you become that person, once you prove to yourself that you don't quit when it gets hard, there is nothing you can't accomplish. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about staying consistent, we have to be honest with ourselves about the power of discipline in our lives. Consistency isn't something that just happens. It's something you build, something you fight for every single day. You see, most people think consistency is about doing big things all at once, but that's a mistake. True consistency is about showing up for yourself, even when nobody is watching, even when the world tells you it's too hard, even when your own mind is filled with excuses and doubts. The third key point I want to share with you is that consistency thrives on routine, on habits, on the small daily decisions that seem insignificant at first, but compound into something powerful over time. Every morning when you wake up, you are making a choice. You are choosing whether day will be a day that moves you forward or a day that keeps you stuck. It might feel easy to brush off the small decisions, to skip a workout, to scroll social media instead of focusing on your goals, to delay the work that your dreams demand. But I'm telling you right now, ladies and gentlemen, these small choices define who you become. If you want to be consistent, you have to master the art of showing up in the little moments, over and over again. I want you to think about the power of habits. Habits are the building blocks of consistency. When you create a habit, you remove the question from your mind. You don't have to rely on willpower every day. Your actions become automatic. You see, most people rely on motivation to get things done, but motivation is a fleeting thing. Motivation comes and goes like the weather. One day you feel on fire, the next day you feel like quitting. But habits don't care about how you feel. Habits are built when you commit to doing something over and over, no matter what. If you want to stay consistent, you have to create habits that align with your goals. Maybe it's waking up an hour earlier to work on yourself. Maybe it's writing down your priorities every morning. Maybe it's dedicating just 15 minutes to learning something new. Whatever it is, start small, because consistency doesn't require grand gestures. It requires persistent effort day after day. You want to be the kind of person who doesn't make excuses, who doesn't wait for the perfect moment, because the truth is, the perfect moment rarely comes. You have to create it with your actions, your choices, and your persistence. Now let me talk to you about accountability. Staying consistent is not just a mental game, it's also a social game. You need people in your life who will hold you to your commitments, who will remind you why you started when you feel like giving up, who will celebrate your small wins and push you through your setbacks. Consistency is easier when you are surrounded by others who understand the value of persistence, who are walking the same path and striving for the same kind of growth. If you isolate yourself, if you try to do everything alone, it becomes much harder to stay consistent. You see, accountability is not about shame, it's about support. It's about creating an environment where showing up for yourself is encouraged, expected, and even celebrated. Find those people, hold yourself accountable to them, and most importantly, hold yourself accountable to yourself. Because at the end of the day, the person you are being consistent for is not anyone else, it's you. Your dreams, your goals, your growth, your potential, they all require your commitment, your persistence, and your unwavering dedication. Another part of staying consistent is learning to embrace discomfort. You see, the path of consistency is not always easy. It is often uncomfortable. It demands sacrifice. It demands patience. You might not see results immediately. You might feel like giving up 1,000 times. But let me tell you something. Ladies and gentlemen, growth never happens in comfort. Consistency is forged in the fires of discipline. You will have days when your mind says, don't bother. Take a break. Relax. That's when you dig deep and remind yourself why you started, why you cannot afford to quit, why your dreams are worth the effort. Consistency is choosing to do what needs to be done, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it, even when the reward is not immediate. Every step you take, no matter how small, moves you closer to becoming the person you are meant to be. It's in the struggle, in the daily grind, that you discover the strength you never knew you had. Finally, staying consistent requires reflection. You must take the time to evaluate your progress, to see what's working, what's not, and adjust accordingly. Consistency does not mean blindly repeating the same actions without thought. It means being deliberate, being intentional, and being aware of your growth. Celebrate your wins. Learn from your mistakes and keep moving forward. Every day is an opportunity to show up for yourself, to build a stronger habit, to make better choices, and a step closer to the life you want. And when you do this, when you commit to the process, when you embrace the discomfort, when you build habits and accountability, consistency stops being a struggle and starts becoming a way of life. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the power of showing up for yourself day after day, no matter what. Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth key point I want to share with you is the importance of mindset in staying consistent. You see, consistency is not just about doing things day after day. It's about believing in yourself and in the process, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Too many people give up because they don't see immediate results. They start strong, full of excitement and energy, but after a week, a month, or even a few months, they feel discouraged and quit. Let me tell you something right now, progress is often invisible at first. The small daily actions you take may not seem to make a difference today, but they are building a foundation for a breakthrough that is coming, whether you see it or not. If you want to stay consistent, you have to trust the process, trust yourself, and develop a mindset that refuses to quit, no matter the challenges or delays. Consistency is born from a mindset that says, I am committed and I will keep going, even when it's hard. Your mind will play tricks on you. It will tell you that your efforts don't matter, that your goals are too big, or that you are not capable of achieving them. And that is when you have to fight back. You have to remind yourself that the mind lies when it wants comfort and convenience. The truth is, you are capable of more than you realize, and every time you push through, every time you refuse to give up, you are training your mind to support your goals instead of holding you back. Mindset is the foundation of consistency because without it, no amount of planning, scheduling, or motivation will keep you moving forward. You have to build a mental framework that values persistence, that sees setbacks as lessons instead of failures, and that understands that small progress is still progress, and that refuses to let temporary feelings dictate permanent decisions. Another part of developing the right mindset is focusing on your why. You have to know why you are doing what you are doing. Why are you putting in the effort every single day? Why are you pushing yourself when it's uncomfortable? Your why is your anchor. The reason you get out of bed even when you feel tired, the reason you keep moving forward when others give up. When your why is strong enough, it gives your actions meaning, and meaning fuels consistency. Without a strong reason, it's easy to get distracted, to lose focus, or to justify giving up. But when your purpose is clear, every choice, every habit, and every decision becomes easier because it's tied to something bigger than a passing feeling or temporary obstacle. Mindset also means being patient with yourself. Consistency is not about perfection. It's about progress. You will stumble, you will miss a day, you will make mistakes. And that's okay. What matters is not the mistake, it's what you do after. Do you get up and keep going, or do you let one misstep turn into a full stop? People who stay consistent are not people who never fail. They are people who refuse to quit. They understand that life will throw challenges at them, that motivation will waver, and that discipline will be tested. But they keep showing up anyway. Mindset is the armor that protects you from giving up when life gets hard. It is the mental strength that turns consistency into a habit and a lifestyle. Finally, mindset is about envisioning the life you want. When you consistently see yourself achieving your goals, when you imagine the version of yourself that has mastered discipline, focus, and dedication, your mind starts aligning your actions with that vision. Your thoughts, feelings, and choices begin to match the person you want to become. This is why mindset matters more than talent, more than circumstances, more than luck. If your mind is consistent, your actions will follow. If you develop a mindset that refuses to quit, embraces challenges, trusts the process, and focuses on your why, you will find that consistency is no longer a struggle, but a natural part of who you are. Ladies and gentlemen, the fifth key point I want to share with you is the importance of managing your environment to support your consistency. You see, so many people struggle with staying consistent because they try to rely solely on willpower, and willpower is a limited resource. If you want to stay consistent, you need to create an environment that makes it easier for you to succeed and harder for you to fail. Your surroundings, the people you spend time with, the tools and habits you set up for yourself, all of these shape your ability to show up day after day. Consistency doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in an environment that either supports it or sabotages it. If you want to see change, you have to look carefully at your environment and make deliberate choices to align it with your goals. Think about it. If you are trying to eat healthy, but your kitchen is full of junk food, every day is going to be a struggle. If you are trying to focus on work or learning, but your phone is constantly buzzing with notifications, Distraction becomes inevitable. If you are trying to be productive and consistent, but you spend most of your time around people who don't respect your goals or push you forward, staying on track is almost impossible. Your environment either feeds your consistency or feeds your excuses. You cannot leave this to chance. You have to design your environment so that it naturally encourages the behaviors you want to adopt. That might mean organizing your space, removing distractions, setting boundaries, or even changing the people you spend the most time with. When you do this, showing up consistently becomes easier because you are not constantly fighting against external forces. You are aligning yourself with success. Another part of managing your environment is controlling your inputs. What you read, watch, and listen to has a massive impact on your mindset, your energy, and your actions. If you fill your mind with negativity, gossip, or stories of failure, your motivation and focus will suffer. If you feed your mind with inspiration, knowledge, and positive energy, your consistency will be fueled from within. Surround yourself with books, podcasts, videos, and people that remind you of your goals, challenge you to be better, and encourage you to keep going. This is how champions are made, by creating an environment that consistently reinforces the life they want to live. You also have to think about time management as part of your environment. Consistency requires structure, scheduling, and deliberate planning. When you know what you are supposed to do, and when you are supposed to do it, you remove the chaos and uncertainty that often leads to procrastination and inconsistency. Block out time for your priorities, protect that time fiercely, and treat it as non-negotiable. The more intentional you are with your time, the easier it is to stay consistent because you're creating a system that supports your goals instead of relying on random bursts of motivation. Finally, your environment is not just physical, it's emotional. The way you feel about yourself, the self-talk you engage in, the emotions you nurture, all of these are part of your environment. If you allow self-doubt, fear, or negativity to dominate your mind, consistency will be a constant battle. But if you cultivate positivity, self-belief, and patience, you give yourself the internal support to keep showing up even when things get hard. Ladies and gentlemen, consistency is easier when your environment, both inside and outside, is aligned with the person you are trying to become. The small adjustments you make to your surroundings, your inputs, your time, and your mindset can multiply your results in ways you never imagined. When your environment works for you instead of against you, showing up for yourself day becomes a natural part of who you are, and success stops being a struggle and starts being a habit. Ladies and gentlemen, the sixth key point I want to share with you is about resilience and the power of never giving up. Consistency is not about perfection, it's about persistence. It's about continuing to move forward, even when life pushes back, even when setbacks try to derail you, even when it feels like the world is against you. You see, everyone will face obstacles. Everyone will encounter moments when the path ahead seems impossible. But the people who achieve greatness, the people who stick to their goals and dreams, are not the ones who never fail. They are the ones who refuse to quit. Resilience is the secret ingredient that keeps you consistent. It is the inner strength that allows you to rise every time you fall, to try again when others have given up, and to keep your eyes on the prize no matter how long the journey takes. Life will test you in ways you never expected. There will be days when you feel exhausted, discouraged, and frustrated. There will be moments when everything seems to be going wrong, and the temptation to quit is overwhelming. That is the exact moment when consistency matters the most. It is in those difficult moments that showing up for yourself separates the dreamers from the doers. When you develop resilience, you understand that failure is not a reason to stop. It is a reason to learn, to adjust, and to push harder. Every setback is a lesson. Every obstacle is an opportunity to grow, And every challenge is a chance to prove to yourself that you are stronger than you think. Consistency thrives on resilience because it requires the courage to continue when the easy choice is to give up. Resilience also comes from perspective. You have to remember why you started, why your goals matter, and why your dreams deserve your effort. Too often, people lose sight of their purpose when things get tough. They focus on the struggle instead of the reward, the obstacle instead of the vision. But when you keep your purpose in mind, resilience becomes natural. You begin to see challenges as temporary, setbacks as small, and the path ahead as something you can overcome. It's about believing in yourself and your vision, even when the results are not immediate. The ability to maintain that belief, to trust the process, and to keep moving forward is what builds consistency over time. Another important aspect of resilience is flexibility. Staying consistent does not mean stubbornly repeating the same actions without adjustment. It means being willing to learn, adapt, and improve as you go. You might encounter situations that require you to change your approach, rethink your strategies, or find new solutions to old problems. Resilient people do not see change as a threat. They see it as an opportunity to refine their path and strengthen their commitment. They understand that adaptability is a crucial part of consistency because life is unpredictable, and the ability to adjust while staying true to your goals is what ensures long-term success. Finally, resilience is reinforced by celebrating small victories. Every time you stick to your routine, overcome a challenge, or achieve a minor milestone, you build confidence and momentum. These wins, no matter how small, remind you that your efforts are paying off and motivate you to keep going. Ladies and gentlemen, consistency is not just about showing up when it's easy. It's about showing up when it's hard, when it's uncomfortable, and when giving up seems like the easiest choice. Resilience gives you the strength to do just that. When you embrace resilience, when you commit to never quitting, when you see obstacles as opportunities, consistency becomes a natural part of your life, and nothing can stop you from becoming the person you are meant to be. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to take a moment and think about who you used to be 5 years ago. Think about the habits, the mindset, the people, and the comfort zones that surrounded you. Now ask yourself, are you still living as that same person today? Because if you are, that means you haven't grown. And growth, my friends, doesn't happen naturally. It happens intentionally. You have to force yourself to outgrow the old version of you. Growth begins when you get uncomfortable with your old habits and outdated mindset. Most people want success, they want change, they want elevation, but they also want to stay comfortable. You can't have both. Growth doesn't come from doing what's easy or familiar. It comes from stepping into the uncomfortable spaces where your old patterns no longer fit. Every version of you that existed before today was built on certain habits, beliefs, and routines that served you at one point. But the truth is, what got you here won't get you there. At some point, you have to look at your life and realize that the comfort you're holding onto is actually the cage that's keeping you small. When you start feeling uneasy, when things start to feel like they don't fit anymore, that's not life punishing you. That's life pushing you. Growth always begins in discomfort. It's that moment when your spirit whispers, you can do better than this. Maybe it's the job you've outgrown, the people who no longer match your energy, the habits that keep you stuck in a loop of mediocrity. The discomfort is a signal that your old self is cracking open to make room for your new self. Most people run from that feeling. They want transformation without the tension, evolution without the effort, and progress without the pain. It doesn't work that way. You've got to be willing to get uncomfortable long enough to grow into your next level. You see, every time you outgrow something, it's supposed to feel strange. You'll wake up one day and realize that the things you used to love no longer excite you, the conversations you used to have no longer feed your spirit, and the routines that once made sense now feel meaningless. That's not confusion, that's clarity. It's your soul telling you that you've reached your limit at this level. You can't climb higher if you keep clinging to what's beneath you. Growth requires release. The release of old habits, old thinking, and sometimes old versions of yourself that you've become too attached to. Getting uncomfortable isn't easy, but it's necessary. You have to train your mind to see discomfort as a signal, not a setback. When you're lifting weights, it's the tension that builds muscle. When you're pursuing success, it's the pressure that builds character. The only reason some people never evolve is because they spend their entire lives avoiding discomfort. They stay in the same job, with the same people, doing the same things, wondering why nothing changes. You've got to reach a point where comfort feels dangerous because comfort kills potential. Every great person, every successful story, every breakthrough moment came from someone who got tired of staying the same. If you really want to change your life, you have to confront your habits. Ask yourself, what are the things you do every day that keep you from becoming your best self? Maybe you waste time scrolling instead of learning. Maybe you talk yourself out of taking risks. Maybe you surround yourself with people who don't challenge you to grow. Those are the habits of your old self. The self that's afraid to evolve. The moment you recognize that, you can begin the process of change. And let me tell you something, change doesn't happen overnight. It's not a switch, it's a process. You have to force yourself day by day to replace old habits with new ones. When your alarm goes off, get up even if you don't feel like it. When your fear speaks, move anyway. When your old thoughts try to talk you out of growing, remind yourself that comfort is the enemy of greatness. Most people think growth feels good. It doesn't. Growth feels like confusion, resistance, and sometimes even loss. You'll lose parts of yourself that once felt essential. You'll lose relationships that no longer align. But that's okay. You're not losing anything real. You're just shedding the layers that no longer fit the person you're becoming. Think about a snake shedding its skin. It's a painful, natural process, but it's necessary for survival. If the snake refuses to shed, it dies. The same applies to you. If you refuse to outgrow your old habits and mindset, your potential will suffocate under the weight of your comfort. The world will keep moving whether you evolve or not. Opportunities will pass you by. Time will not slow down to wait for you to feel ready. So you've got to push yourself. You've got to decide that being uncomfortable today is better than being stuck forever. Every time you resist the urge to fall back into your old patterns, you are building strength. Every time you face discomfort and keep going, you are growing. The old you will fight to survive because it knows that once you grow beyond it, it no longer has power. But that's the point. You weren't designed to stay the same. You were created to evolve. Growth begins when you stop running from discomfort and start learning from it. When you can look at your fear, your doubt, your hesitation, and still choose to move forward, that's when life changes. The discomfort you feel is simply proof that you're stepping into a new version of yourself. One that's stronger, wiser, and more capable than ever before. So embrace that unease, because it's not the end of who you are. It's the beginning of who you're becoming. You can't step into your new life wearing the same shoes from your old journey. Every stage of your life demands a different version of you, a stronger version, a wiser version, a more disciplined version. The habits, the mindset, and the energy that carried you through the last chapter will not be enough to take you where you want to go next. People often want to experience something new while staying exactly the same. They want the reward without the renewal, the blessing without the breakthrough. the promotion without the preparation. But it doesn't work that way. You can't move forward while dragging the weight of who you used to be. You've got to make a conscious decision to put down the old version of yourself and walk boldly into the new season of your life. Every new chapter requires a wardrobe change. Just like you wouldn't wear summer clothes in the middle of winter, you can't expect your old habits to protect you in a new environment. Those shoes you've been walking in, the ones that once felt comfortable and familiar, might now be too tight. They might hurt your feet because your growth has outgrown your gear. Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, you've expanded. The old mindset of doubt, fear, and self-sabotage no longer fits who you are becoming. Yet, most people still try to squeeze themselves into the comfort of old patterns because that's what they know. They stay stuck in relationships that drain them, routines that don't challenge them, and environments that limit their imagination, all because they're afraid to take off those old shoes and walk barefoot into something new. There comes a time when you have to stop protecting your past and start preparing for your future. You can't keep telling yourself, this is just who I am, when deep down you know that's not who you're meant to be anymore. You can't carry yesterday's excuses into tomorrow's opportunities. The person you used to be might have been built for survival, but the person you're becoming is built for purpose. That means you'll have to unlearn certain behaviors and challenge old beliefs and separate yourself from the patterns that used to define you. Growth requires release. And release means letting go, not because you hate your past, but because you respect your future too much to bring your old baggage into it. Think about this: when you upgrade your phone, you don't keep the broken apps that no longer work with the new system. You delete them because they'll slow everything down. The same thing happens in life. When you're stepping into your new season, the old habits, negative people, and toxic thoughts that used to run your life can no longer function with your new mindset. If you keep holding out of them, you'll crash. That's why so many people get stuck halfway through their journey. They want a new destination, but they keep operating with old directions. You can't expect to evolve if you keep using the same patterns that created the old you. The new life you're asking for requires a new level of thinking, discipline, and faith. You'll have to train your mind to believe you deserve more, and your heart to handle change. You'll have to walk differently, talk differently, and see yourself differently. The old version of you might have been afraid to speak up, afraid to fail, afraid to start over, but the new version of you knows that silence doesn't build dreams and fear doesn't create freedom. You can't keep showing up to your future acting like your past. Every day you wake up, you have a choice to walk the same path with the same shoes, or to take them off and trust the process of becoming new. Sometimes the people around you won't understand your transformation. They'll say, "You've changed." And they'll be right. You were supposed to. You're not supposed to be the same person year after year. Growth looks like changing your conversation, setting boundaries, walking away from drama, and investing in yourself. The same shoes that used to take you to small places can't handle the distance of your destiny. Don't be afraid to outgrow your environment. Don't be afraid to say, "That's not for me anymore." It's not arrogance, it's awareness. You've simply realized that your old habits can't carry your new blessings. When you step into your new life, it will feel uncomfortable at first. You'll stumble, question yourself, maybe even doubt if you made the right decision. But that's just the process of breaking in new shoes. At first, they might hurt a little, but the more you walk in them, the more they fit. That's what change feels like. You're adjusting to a new version of yourself, one that refuses to settle for less. You'll have to trust that every step forward, no matter how shaky, is proof that you're not who you used to be. The journey to your new life is not about forgetting your past, but learning from it. It's about honoring the lessons without repeating the patterns. Every scar, every failure, every misstep was preparing you for the moment you finally decided to evolve. But evolution demands action. It's not enough to dream about a better life. You have to walk toward it, even if it means walking away from what once felt safe. The shoes that served you yesterday will slow you down tomorrow. Take them off. Step into your new life barefoot if you must, but keep walking. Because the only way to grow is to move. And the only way to move forward is to stop trying to fit into the version of yourself that no longer exists. The world doesn't wait for you to evolve. You must force yourself to move forward. Life keeps moving whether you're ready or not. Time doesn't stop for your hesitation, your fear, or your excuses. Opportunities don't pause while you decide if you're good enough to take them. The world will not slow down so you can catch up. You have to pick up your pace and match its rhythm. Too many people are waiting for the perfect moment, waiting until they feel ready, waiting until they have everything figured out before they take a step. But here's the truth. You will never feel completely ready. Growth doesn't wait for comfort. Progress doesn't wait for confidence. If you want to move forward, you have to do it scared, uncertain, and sometimes alone. That's how you grow. You have to understand that stagnation is a silent killer of dreams. The longer you wait to move, the heavier your excuses become. Life is constantly changing. New opportunities are born every day, and people who are bold enough to act are the ones who catch them. The rest spend their time watching others live the life they dreamed of, wondering why things never work out for them. The answer is simple: they waited too long. They wanted the world to adjust to their timing instead of adjusting themselves to the pace of the world. You can't be passive about your future. You have to take charge, take risks, and take action, even when it feels uncomfortable. Because if you don't move, you'll get left behind. The world rewards momentum. When you start moving, things begin to shift in your favor. Opportunities find you, people notice you, and doors begin to open that you didn't even know existed. But that only happens when you're in motion. If you keep standing still, waiting for the right conditions, you'll miss the train that was meant to take you to your next level. The people you admire didn't get ahead because they had everything figured out. They got ahead because they moved when others froze. They made mistakes, they failed, they stumbled, but they kept going. And that's what separates the successful from the stuck. You can't keep living your life based on the fear of making a wrong move. Sometimes not moving at all is the biggest mistake you can make. Every step forward teaches you something, even if it doesn't lead exactly where you expected. Every failure builds resilience. Every setback builds wisdom. You don't have to see the entire path to start walking. You just need enough courage to take the first step. Once you start moving, clarity comes with motion. You'll learn as you go, grow as you go, and discover new parts of yourself that you would have never met if you stayed still. Forcing yourself to move forward means refusing to let comfort dictate your direction. It means choosing growth over ease, purpose over fear, and discipline over doubt. You have to wake up every day and tell yourself, I will not let my potential expire because of my hesitation. The world is filled with people who had incredible talent, but never used it because they waited for permission. Don't wait for someone to tell you it's time to move. Don't wait for motivation to strike. Motivation fades, discipline remains. The more you move, the more momentum you create, and momentum is what transforms an ordinary person into an unstoppable force. There will be moments when you feel like you're not making progress, moments when it seems like no one notices your effort. That's when you have to remind yourself that progress isn't always visible. Sometimes you're growing in silence, preparing for an opportunity that hasn't arrived yet. Keep pushing anyway, keep showing up, keep doing the work. The world doesn't wait for those who hesitate, but it rewards those who persist. The difference between the people who reach their dreams and those who don't is simple. One kept moving even when it hurt. Forcing yourself to evolve isn't about rushing, it's about refusing to be stuck. It's about recognizing that your potential deserves more than your procrastination. You can't expect success to chase you down. You have to go after it with intention and urgency. Every day you waste wishing for change is a day you could have been building it. The world doesn't stop spinning for anyone, and neither should you. No matter how many times you fall, no matter how uncertain the path seems, keep putting one foot in front of the other. Movement creates momentum, and momentum creates transformation. There's power in forward motion. The moment you decide to stop waiting for the perfect time and start making the most of this time, your life begins to shift. The fear will still be there, the doubt will still whisper, but your determination will speak louder. You'll realize that the world owes you nothing. It simply responds to your effort. So stop waiting for the world to catch up to your dreams. Force yourself to evolve, to move forward, to grow beyond what you thought possible. Because in the end, it's not the world that passes you by, it's the version of yourself that never had the courage to move. Change requires sacrifice, comfort, time, and sometimes people. You cannot transform your life while holding on to everything that keeps you the same. Growth always comes with a price, and the cost is usually something you don't want to let go of. The reason most people never change is because they're unwilling to pay that price. They want a new life, but cling to the comfort of the old one. They want to rise higher, but fear losing the things that make them feel safe. But every transformation demands that you give up something familiar to gain something greater. You can't stay in your comfort zone and expect to become extraordinary. The two cannot coexist. Comfort feels good because it's predictable. You know what to expect, and that gives you a false sense of control. But comfort kills potential. It's the quiet enemy that convinces you to settle. Every dream, every breakthrough, every success begins when you decide that comfort is no longer your goal. You have to be willing to sacrifice ease for growth. That might mean waking up earlier, working longer, or doing the hard things that no one else is willing to do. It might mean facing rejection, risking failure, or stepping into places where you feel uncertain. But remember this, comfort never built character. Struggle did. Sacrifice did. The road to success is paved with things you had to give up to get there. Time is another sacrifice most people don't want to make. Everyone says they want to change, but few are willing to put in the hours. Real change doesn't happen overnight. It happens day by day through consistent effort when no one is watching. You have to sacrifice leisure for learning, distractions for discipline, instant gratification for long-term gain. Time is the most valuable resource you have, and how you use it determines the quality of your life. You can't expect to build something meaningful if you keep wasting your hours on things that don't serve your purpose. You have to treat your time like gold, protect it, invest it, and spend it wisely. Change isn't about finding more time. It's about making better use of the time you already have. Then there's the hardest sacrifice of all, people. Sometimes the people you love are the very ones holding you back. Not because they're bad, but because they're comfortable with who you used to be. They might not understand your hunger, your vision, or your desire to grow. And that's okay. Not everyone is meant to go with you to your next level. Some people belong in your history, not your destiny. It hurts to outgrow people. It hurts to walk away from relationships that once felt like home. But if those relationships require you to shrink, to compromise your dreams, or to stay stuck where you are, then keeping them is too expensive. Growth means learning to love people from a distance while protecting your purpose up close. Sacrifice isn't punishment, it's preparation. Every time you let go of something small, you make room for something greater. The pain of sacrifice is temporary, but the reward of change lasts a lifetime. Think about every successful person you admire. They all had to give something up. Sleep, comfort, doubt, toxic relationships, bad habits, to step into their greatness. Nobody gets to the top without letting go of something at the bottom. When you're willing to sacrifice, you send a signal to life that you're serious about growth. You're saying, I'm ready to pay the price. And once you make that decision, the universe begins to open doors that were once closed. There will be moments when you question whether the sacrifice is worth it. You'll miss the people, the comfort, the easy days. You'll have nights when you feel like you're giving everything and getting nothing in return. But that's just the test. Growth always tests your patience before it rewards your persistence. Keep going. Keep believing that what you're building is worth more than what you're leaving behind. Because the truth is, you can't gain without giving. You can't step into abundance while clinging to scarcity. You can't become your future self while living like your past self. Something has to go. And that's what sacrifice is, a trade. You trade who you are for who you want to become. You trade your comfort for your calling, your fear for faith, your excuses for effort. It's not easy, but it's necessary. The life you want isn't on sale. You have to pay full price. So when life starts pulling you out of your comfort zone, don't resist it. When you feel like you're losing things, understand that you're actually making space. Every sacrifice you make becomes a seed for your next season. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize that the pain of letting go was the foundation of your growth. You'll see that every sacrifice you made was worth it because it shaped you into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable of handling the success that once felt out of reach. Every new level of your life demands a stronger, wiser, and more disciplined version of you. Each time you rise, the challenges rise with you. The lessons become deeper, the responsibilities grow heavier, and the expectations get higher. What worked for you at the last stage will not work for you in the next one. Growth is not just about achieving more. It's about becoming more. You're about to continuously evolve into someone capable of carrying the weight of the blessings you're asking for. Life will not hand you a bigger dream if you're still thinking like the person who could only handle small ones. Every elevation in life requires transformation on the inside before manifestation on the outside. It's easy to pray for success, wealth, peace, or purpose. But the question is, are you ready for what those things truly demand? Success is not maintained by luck. It's sustained by discipline. Peace doesn't appear in chaos. It's built through wisdom and control. Every time you level up, life tests you to see if you're prepared to handle more. That's why sometimes the higher you go, the lonelier it feels. You can't bring the same habits, the same mindset, or the same weaknesses into your new season. They won't survive there. The old you must build for comfort, but the new you must be built for endurance. Strength doesn't come from what you gain easily, it comes from what you survive. When you're stepping into a new level, you can expect pressure. You can expect resistance. Because growth never comes without friction. It's like climbing a mountain. The air gets thinner, the path gets steeper, and your muscles start to ache. But that pain means you're ascending. Every level comes with its own test. When you're comfortable, you're not being challenged. When you're being challenged, you're being stretched. And when you're being stretched, you're growing. That's the process of becoming stronger. Life will keep repeating the same lessons until you grow strong enough to move to the next stage. Each time you pass a test, you're proving that you're ready for greater things. Discipline is what separates dreamers from achievers. Everyone wants to reach the top, but not everyone wants to do what it takes to stay there. Every new level of success demands more focus, more consistency, and more control over yourself. You have to learn how to manage your emotions, your time, and your energy. You can't let laziness, procrastination, or distractions dictate your progress. Discipline means doing what's necessary, even when you don't feel like it. It means saying no to things that steal your attention and yes to the things that build your future. Discipline is a form of self-respect. It's how you prove to yourself that you're serious about your goals. Wisdom is another key requirement at every new level. When you were younger, you might have reacted emotionally to every situation. But as you evolve, you learn that not every battle deserves your energy. You start to see the difference between things that matter and things that don't. Wisdom helps you move with patience, purpose, and clarity. It teaches you that timing is just as important as effort. You begin to realize that not every door needs to be opened, and not every opportunity is meant for you. That level of discernment only comes through experience, through the mistakes, the failures, and the moments of reflection that teach you who you really are. Strength, wisdom, and discipline are built through repetition. The more you face challenges, the stronger you become. The more you reflect on your experiences, the wiser you get. The more you control your impulses, the more disciplined you grow. That's how you prepare for your next level, by mastering yourself first. The world outside won't change until the world inside you changes. You can't handle bigger blessings with the same mindset that struggled to handle smaller ones. Life blessings come with responsibility, and if you can't handle what you have now, you won't be trusted with more. Sometimes, life will deliberately place you in situations that stretch your limits, not to break you, but to prepare you. It's testing your patience, your faith, and your endurance. When it feels like everything is getting harder, it usually means you're about to rise higher. Don't mistake struggle for punishment. It's preparation. Diamonds aren't formed without pressure. Champions aren't made without struggle. You can't skip the process and expect the prize. Every level requires proof that you've mastered the one before it. So when you find yourself in moments of frustration or exhaustion, remember, this is training. You're being molded into the version of yourself that can handle the next blessing. You're being strengthened to hold what you've prayed for. The old you wouldn't survive here, but the new you is being built to thrive here. Every new level is a test of who you've become. Stay disciplined when it's hard, stay wise when it's confusing, and stay strong when it feels impossible. Because when you pass this level, you'll look back and realize that everything you went through was shaping you into the person capable of living the life you once dreamed of.